And now I say this in the best way possible, but the movie is quite grim and also left me feeling like weird and unsettled.
Great.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit just about that tone? Like, what was it that how did you come to want to sort of like capture that specific vibe?
It's definitely a hybrid. It's a mixture, like mixed it with some dark humor, because we felt like if we don't have a little bit of dark humor in it, it's almost like impossible to sit through like 90 minutes of this kind of very dark, subject matter. What is so interesting to me is when I get this responses, because purposely, because of the subject matter, we couldn't show images or videos that would really traumatize the audience. We could have, I don't know if we could have staged a beheading or something like, of course we wouldn't do this. If we make a movie about images that traumatize us, we don't want an audience to walk out of the movie theater being traumatized by us. So basically what we're doing, we're hinting at things, hinting at videos, hinting what's being seen, like on a monitor. And if you hear children sing a little children's song rhyme and then you see somebody clicking, this video gets deleted because of sexual content, it's in your mind what you fill in, like what happened in that video. So we basically tap into the darkness that every viewer brings, to the movie theater seat, we hope that people have dark corner that they're willing to go on this journey with us in this movie.
And Lili, what was it like for you sort of existing in this world?
I grew up in this world, so I was reminiscing, and as I've been talking about this movie, as a 12-year-old girl, like on my friend's desktop computer in her basement, unsupervised, like the world was our oyster on the internet, and it's horrifying. And I think a lot of us saw things way too that people should never see, but also at a very young age. And so this movie, obviously the idea of just talking about how imagery online can traumatize you and affect you is so real and something that we don't really talk about. And I think that's why I wanted to make this movie so badly. I was like, I would love to just sit and talk about this. And I think we all have one of those videos that we've seen that has stuck with us. I think we all have that, unfortunately. And so I pulled from, my own experience having seen horrible graphic things on the internet, and just like, when my character's watching this video, when any of our characters are watching videos in this film, we're not actually watching a graphic video. It's our minds are filling in the blanks, which is what we wanted the audience to do as well, which is almost like the movie's what you want it to be, because it's whatever you're envisioning in your head is what the characters are seeing. And so it's kind of as graphic or as violent as your mind allows you to be, which I think is a really interesting kind of interactive play between our movie and the viewers.
And was it a challenge to make being on the internet cinematic? Like, so much of the movie is people sitting in front of computers, and on the one hand that sounds like super boring, and on the other hand the movie still has a lot of energy and is exciting. Was it a challenge for you to find like a grammar and a way to shoot people sitting in front of computers?
Such a great question, because if somebody had just pitched, the story to me, if I had not read the script, and just pitched the story to me, it's about content moderators, and the work they do. And I would be thinking like, okay, we're in an office building, and I'm just going to watch a ton of people just staring at them, clicking away and looking at monitors. I would go boring. I don't think I would be too interested in it. But what really intrigued me, first, we had a wonderful script written by, Matthew Nemeth. I loved the dark humor in it, and quite quickly I got the idea that it's interesting, intriguing to me that I'm actually turning the camera around. I'm turning the camera away from what we usually look at, which is the videos, the content, and I'm looking just really precisely at the people, consuming those videos. And that was the real human drama for me that I was interested in portraying.
Lili, for you, I feel like you've sort of had to deal with in public, essentially, how much of yourself to reveal online, how earnest you want to be online. Did making this film make you reflect at all on kind of your own relationship to being online?
Definitely to being online. I think I have wanted to be online less, more so than ever in my life the last year. Not even just because of this film, I think just because of what the internet is right now as it stands. It's not good. And you see a lot of hate and fear, and I don't want to be a part of that. So I think I really try to invest in the happiness and the ease online. And when it comes to TikTok and silly content and things that, make people laugh or feel good, and knowing an algorithm on TikTok, if you like a specific video, that's what you'll get more of. And so I think I've tried to, it's almost like be my own little content moderator in a sense on my own social platforms, knowing that what I engage with, I'll get more of. So just being conscious online with what I interact with, knowing that if I keep it positive, keep it funny, keep it light, that's what I'll get back in. So less news popping up on my TikTok of horrible things being done in our country, and more light content that is actually puts me at ease at the end of the day, rather than going in a doom scroll,
But you also directed on the current season of Severance, and I'm curious what that experience was like for you. And also, why do you think that show has really caught on with people? Like, what is it that you think that people are really engaging with that show in particular?
I think the idea that there possibly is a technology down the road where we can separate ourselves from things that we don't want to remember, and possibly, separating ourselves from joining a certain workforce, just to make a living, is, I guess, appealing to people. I think it portrays a world where you see characters experience things for the first time, like children, but they're adults. And I think, as adults, we always kind of, look back fondly for being naive and not so spoiled and not so sinister. So we have a deeper love for these characters that we see in Severance, and we really care deeply for them. And then it's just stylistically so interesting. The world in itself is just so unique. I mean, what Ben Stiller created is just, mind-blowingly new and different, but at the same time, at its core, just human stories that really appeal to us, that we want to know more about.
It's so good. That's so good.
And my experience, being on Severance, to answer that question, was just absolutely wonderful. Sometimes you do shows and they turn out really, really well, and when people ask you, you go like, I was quite miserable. But when it comes, yeah. So even when, I think I've been part of making other movies as a cinematographer, and when you see people are not that happy or whatever, and you always go like, that's not the deciding factor. We're still making a great movie,
Mm-hmm.
But being on a show where you experience so much joy, so much creative joy, and part of it is because I think Ben gave me a lot of trust, that I could really flex my directing muscles on the show, which are completely different muscles than you usually flex. You have to think in different ways. The way you stage the actors, the way you find what feels organic in a world that is so unorganic, So that was all really thrilling to me and wonderful. I love being on that show. It was terrific.
And then, Lili, you were previously here at South by Southwest with a movie that I have a lot of affection for called Miss Stevens.
Mm-hmm.
And that featured you along with a young Timothée Chalamet. How do you, having seen the way his career has really taken off in the way it has since then, and then also how do you just kind of reflect back on that earlier time in your career?
Well, I wasn't at South by when it premiered. The movie Miss Stevens was here, but I think I was in Vancouver on Riverdale, so I wasn't able to be here. I remember working with Timmy, and we were both, I think, 18, or I was 18, maybe he was, I'm not sure. And I said on set, I was like, you're going to win an Oscar one day. And not that I was definitely not the first person who told him that, but you just knew he was, something was so special about him. And it's, here we are 10 years later, and here he is at the Oscars. So it made sense, and he's so wonderful. And that movie was so wonderful, and I was so young, and then felt like such a baby in it. But it's funny, at that age, I remember telling my manager when I signed with her when I was 14, I said, I want to do film. And she very gently had to tell me, your career is probably not going to look the way you think it will. Oh. And in the nicest way, in the sense that you know, then I was on a TV show for 7 years. Like, it's just, you just don't know where this industry will take you. And that's kind of, it can be really challenging, but it's also, it keeps things interesting. And it's like, I don't know what I'll be doing in 5 years. I don't know what I'll be doing in 3 months. So I think it's sort of, this industry certainly keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
And for someone who really likes scheduling and order, it's very challenging for me personally. But I think looking back, you know, it's been such a fun, unpredictable ride, and that's what's made life, the last 10 years of it, really interesting. That I didn't have any idea what my career was going to look like, and that's kind of the fun of it, even though it's hard. But it's like, okay, here we go.